Hello and welcome to the board. After a few weeks break, we're back. And today I'm Kirsten Donaldson, and we're joined by Jesse Stegman, who recently made the change from developer to agile coach at Boost. So he's going to be another regular on the show. And we also have our regular person, Gavin Coughlin, on the corner there. And today we're going to be talking about impact mapping, which I know nothing about, but these guys recently attended a workshop on it, so they're going to tell me all about it. And I'll probably butt in with some annoying questions.
Okay, yeah, we went to a course last Friday about it, and we thought it was really interesting. First of all, there's no slides in the course, which was
great.
Yeah,
fantastic, and it was very interactive. You were basically doing stuff the entire day, which was really great, and helped get the concepts across. And there was lots of great examples, and it really hit home for us.
Yeah,
we saw a lot of ways that we'd be able to use it. With some of our current projects and some of our current clients. So we thought we'd just talk a little bit about it today.
I have two questions already. One question is, who gave the course?
Is Gojko Vidzik.
Okay, is that how that's pronounced?
I don't know, but that's how it's spelled. He actually didn't introduce himself because he said you all met me at the recent conference, so anybody who wasn't at the conference didn't. No, so I've never heard his name actually spoken. I've only seen written down.
We'll pop his name on the links afterwards so you guys can YouTube him or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
My second question was, who can give me a sort of one sentence definition of what impact mapping is?
Sure.
Actually, yeah, remember during the thing you asked for elevator pitch.
That was what I was going to say. So, Jess, you can take that?
So, I suppose his elevator pitch it's a way to link your scope or deliverables to business goals.
That makes sense.
In the most basic form.
And we found it was really good for a few things. One is just that, getting actual deliverables and at the end of the day, user stories from your business goals. And also if you already have a backlog, the impact map, you can kind of go in both directions, which will make a bit more sense soon. So you can actually go from your backlog through to your goals and back to your backlog, and it really helps prioritize and cut out a lot of things. Or I suppose a term that was mentioned quite a lot during the day was what should we do now and not now. Those two different things. And that's quite a good one as well, because quite a lot of the time when we're talking with clients and starting a project, we'll talk about what we can do in, say, release 1 or release 2 or release 3, and people freak out a little bit because they think, oh, I don't want to release it without X, Y, and Z.
So do you think that change in terminology will make people more comfortable?
Yeah, I think so. And sometimes we also do the Moscow thing, like must have, should have, could have, wouldn't, or won't have. And people also freak out a bit because they don't want to put anything in the won't have row.
Well, they want to put it all in must have, really.
Yeah.
But I guess, so this is a more sort of structured way of prioritising rather than that gut feeling prioritising?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's, I suppose, difficult, right, to prioritize a list of stories. Sometimes when you just see a list, it doesn't make a lot of sense as a list, because that's not how software is. You have to create a bit of a picture, and story mapping is quite good for that in a lot of ways. And I can see impact mapping tying into story mapping. You might start with impact mapping and then do story map further down the line.
The other thing that we talked about a lot was being able to, for business people, it's very hard for them to prioritize, should I build this interface or this interface first, which one provides more value. But by using an impact map, you can map it back to their business goals, and they can prioritize, do I want this business goal first or this business goal first? And that's obviously a lot easier for them to understand. And
it brings them into the process as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So why have you got this whiteboard here?
Well, we thought we'd run through impact mapping and the process for everyone watching. So what I've got here is a basic impact map. So you've got your business goals, the actors, so that is in a user story, normally as a customer or as an administrator.
So that's a person that's going to use the system.
Yeah, you can use personas or demographics information there. Then the impact, which is the behaviours that you would like to change of the actor. So buy more, spend more time on the website, those kind of things. and then lastly your deliverables. So that's the actual functionality that you're going to build, and what your user stories will deliver in the end.
Yep.
Cool. So what we looked at is, as Gavin mentioned before, is you can go two ways with the impact map. So we'll start with if you've got an existing project and a set of existing deliverables, which I'm going to represent with lines. So you'd imagine that this is your product backlog and user stories. I might get Gav to draw while I hold and explain. So you've got your deliverables down this end. So this is your user stories. We can then map those back to impacts. So what behavior changes we want these user stories to achieve. So 2 or 3 user stories might feed into a single impact. Then from that impact, that obviously will be affecting an actor. So possibly we'll say we've got a customer is our actor for this. We'll have an e-commerce site, and then from that we'll hopefully have some business goals, which we can extrapolate out again. So we're going to increase revenue or increase time spent on the site.
I'll just write that down. Can write sideways. It's very difficult.
And so hopefully what will happen is you will have a couple of business goals. So we're going to increase revenue.
Customer engagement is the other one I'm putting here.
Cool. And increase customer engagement. And then what you can do from this map is ask your product owner or get them to go back to the business and talk to them about which is the priority. Are we looking to increase revenue or increase customer engagement?
I have a question.
Sure.
So when would you do this impact mapping workshop? Is it sort of at the start of a project?
Well, if you're doing it, I suppose, from the
Deliverables.
right to the left, deliverables to the goals, you could do that possibly mid-project if people are having problems prioritizing. And a lot of the time people come to you with a list of requirements already, so you could do it at the start of the project in that situation as well.
So essentially whenever you need to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
it.
could you make this part of backlog refining meeting if you were finding that prioritizing became a problem on a project?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we have suggested this to somebody already, and we're going to do a workshop with them.
Oh,
and
is this one of your projects?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and they are very much in, more than midway through their project. They've been working for years, but so they really aren't clear about the goals. So the team aren't clear about what they're.
Did you say are clear or
are not
right,
clear?
okay.
Are not clear.
Yeah.
So they know exactly what they do. They know what they have to deliver, but they don't know why or where that links into goals.
Yeah.
And possibly the goals aren't very well defined as well. So I think it's really going to help with that. It's going to help the business with prioritizing and with coming up with those goals. Because here, for example, we have revenue and customer engagement as our 2 goals, but they're not very. They're not SMART goals. They're not specific, measurable.
No, I was thinking when you wrote
time.
customer engagement, how do you measure that?
Yes. Well, it might be, for example, revenue. You might say we want to see an increase of revenue of 10% in the next 6 months.
Yeah, that one is very measurable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And the customer engagement one, you might say we want to see, the amount of time customers spend on the site increased by, 12% over the next 3 months.
Or inquiries by email.
Yeah.
Yes.
Reduce bounce rate.
Yeah, or a volume of calls into call center, however it is you want to actually measure that. So you do have to come up with some measurable goals that make sense.
So this client that has identified a need, they are going to need to involve their stakeholders, so their management team, right?
Yes. Yep.
So what happens if the management team is like, I don't have time for this,
Well, I don't think that's going to be an issue because they're all pretty committed.
Right.
And interestingly, during the course, the Gojko, the guy who's running it, Goko, Yoko, was asked, what do you do when you meet a lot of resistance about this? And he said, I never have gotten any resistance, because usually I'm called in when people are in dire straits and
suppose, yeah.
need to make a change. So he's never called in
And
when everything's brilliant.
Fine, yeah. I mean, and it is quite logical. It's not like they're sitting there with nothing to do, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, these are the answers they already have. It's
Yeah.
just a way of pulling them out in a logical fashion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose if the person was, the upper management were really resistant, those goals should be, you would hope, fairly well defined for the business. I mean, we're talking about sort of a business roadmap type goal. So I suppose you could ask them for, you know, what's the plan for the next year? Do we have any goals that we need to meet? If they were really unwilling, and you could get those base goals and make some assumptions and go from there if it was really a problem.
Well, while we're talking about this, should we try and make some fake examples to possibly easier explain it? Let's say we're talking about let's use a cinema, right? And they want to increase their revenue, and they want to increase their customer engagement as well. And so let's say are we going from deliverables through to goals here, or should we go the other way around?
Let's go from deliverables to goals, because I think that's where most people will start with this.
Okay, so over here in the deliverables, the duster's just fallen apart.
It's all going wrong.
It's all going crazy. So let's say in deliverables we have that they're just creating a new website, okay, and they want people to be able to view movies, all the movies that are on. They want people to be able to buy refreshments. Obviously these are huge deliverables and need to be broken down, but that's okay for the time being.
They're epics.
Yeah, they're epics really. Buy food, they want to be able to like choose seats.
Buy tickets.
They want to be able to buy tickets. And you might have lots of other things here, like, you know, contact details and
Location.
special offers.
Loyalty.
Loyalty
program.
Loyalty and location. I think that's enough for now. So you might have somebody's come to you with all these deliverables, and they have everything that they want to put into that website, and it's not prioritized. And to look at that list, it might be a little bit hard to decide what you really want to look at first, because it is just a list, and it's the different ways of prioritizing, which we've been through in the past. So I won't go too much into that, but let's go on. Let's have a look at the behaviors that we want these deliverables to actually change. So
cool. So I mean, obviously, if we look at increasing revenue, we want people to buy more tickets.
Yep.
Buying more tickets.
Yeah, so buying more tickets is a behavior change that we want to have in whoever we're going to put into the actors. And let's see, we also want people to buy more food, because that's where cinemas make most of their.
Or in fact, you know, have them buy it in advance so they can do more planning around food.
Oh yeah, so let's do that. I like that actually.
Is that more specific?
Yeah, and buying more is a little bit. It's a bit of an easy way. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that enough for now, just for the sake of the example? Okay, so we've got two impacts. We want people to be buying more tickets, and we want people to buy food in advance as well, which will hopefully make them, hopefully shorten the queues and also make us sell more food. And because we spend nothing on popcorn and sell it for vastly inflated amounts, that's going to be.
Is that a bit of a bugbear for you?
Well, I used to work in a cinema,
You should,
and
totally make your own and take it with you.
I used to work in a cinema. That is where they make all their money from popcorn.
All their money's from popcorn.
Yeah, it's such a jip. And as well, most cinemas keep their the leftover popcorn from the end of the day in plastic bags and put it behind the counter and then serve it up the next morning. So anyway, that's going off point.
By the by,
a little bit. So what next?
So next we go on to the actors. So a real thing to think about here is sort of thinking a bit outside the box. So obviously for our actors we're going to have a moviegoer, so a generic customer, I suppose. But then we're talking about buying food in advance helps with planning. So we're talking about the staff at the cinema and management.
So these are people that are going to use this and benefit from it?
Yes.
Anybody who's impacted by this, by these.
So
staff, management as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good start.
Yeah, and just for the sake of the exercise, we'll just stick with moviegoers, but it's good to break these down as well and get more specific about your moviegoers, and that might be demographics or geographic location. And in this case of a cinema, if you think about your moviegoer, you might try and think about your most valuable moviegoer. So it might be
maybe an age group.
Yeah, or a parent who's bringing their family along, or
a business person.
Nothing
to do that evening.
Yeah, or else just some lonely person who goes to the movies on their own every night. Yeah. It's me. I did go to see Lucy on my own last week. Yeah. Enjoyable.
Yeah, so I think that's a really important point that Gavin makes, is it's not, although we've got these 4 columns, you can actually break things down, and the further you break things down, often the more value you get out of it. So you can have a goal, but then your actors could be split into moviegoers. So you've got teenagers, adults, families, could be a good split for moviegoers. And then your impacts, buying more, if you go back to your teenagers, buying more tickets for, I don't know, Disney films. And then families, the Disney films would make more sense.
So for example, the deliverable was featured Disney films.
And if you've split your moviegoers and you've targeted teenagers, maybe one of your deliverables would be a web app that's mobile ready, rather than, or an iPhone app, rather than a website. So those sort of,
it's not just teenagers that use apps. It's a common misconception for some reason.
I don't use them apps.
Anyway, so what's the next step? When do we get to do some links?
Okay, so we also have our goals here, which we went through before. That's increased revenue and customer engagement. So we'd have more here, because obviously these deliverables would actually map through to more impacts and more actors, but we're limited for time here. But let's say we went through that process and we have some of our goals. Now we go, fantastic. Okay, so we don't want to list all. We don't. We want you to prioritize your goals. What's most important? These cannot be all equally as important. What's really most important to you? Is it
revenue,
increasing revenue, or is it customer engagement?
Well, that's tricky, because customer engagement does increase revenue in itself, really, and greater customer engagement means greater word of mouth.
Yeah.
So it really helps with marketing things as well.
And,
so I'm going to say customer engagement.
Customer engagement, great. Yeah. Okay, so that is our priority.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use this shattered thing, and we're going to take off. Also, you don't have to take it off, but this makes it pretty clear there. So we've completely gotten rid of the revenue. We're just left with a goal there, which is customer engagement. We go back through to the actors. So we have the actors that we came up with were the moviegoers, staff, and the management.
Yeah. So now do I have to decide which one relates to customer engagement? Is that correct?
yeah. So
So it's moviegoers.
Yeah. So hopefully, as you've gone back, you've linked up your goals, so you would know that moviegoers are linked to customer engagement. I mean, there might be
I
also
think staff are as well.
Yeah, the staff definitely could be.
And management, actually. I mean, and anyone who deals with content on the website.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then we're going through to the impact. So we've got, well, let's see, the impacts are actually kind of revenue based at the moment. So
What are they again?
we had buying more tickets.
And buying more food. And buying food in
advance.
Yeah, but the goal of customer engagement, those impacts are still appropriate, aren't
Yes,
they?
Yeah.
yes, that's true.
For a customer to engage, they're quite often making actions on the site.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if the main actions on the site are buying stuff.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so both these impacts apply to customer engagement, really? Is there anything to get rid of there?
They're a measure of customer engagement, aren't they?
So, and that brings us to our deliverables. So what deliverables? We've got the customer can view a list of movies on the website.
So are we trying to then say, do these relate to that goal of customer engagement?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think not directly the view movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes. So that would now be a not now.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a not that.
can go
I think
Buying food there allows people to buy food in advance,
Mm-hmm.
which we've said is something we want to change.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's a now.
yeah. Choose seats. I don't think it's directly related to customer engagement, but buy tickets is.
Yes, but choose seats isn't. I mean, you're right. It's not directly related, and they can still buy tickets. So,
And if I was going to prioritise, I'd want buy tickets first, and
Yeah.
then later to do
exactly. Yes.
choose seats. It's an
Yep.
add-on, right?
Cool.
Contact, I think that is related to customer engagement. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people call or email via the contact.
Yep. Special offers.
I think that's a not now as well.
Yeah.
That's more
Loyalty,
revenue. Yeah.
Definitely good for measuring customer engagement.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And location.
I think that's pretty essential for a first cut of a movie website, to be honest.
But if we're going back to the customer engagement, which you've prioritised, you probably say it's a not.
I probably would say that. However, for customers
gone.
to engage, they're going to need to know.
We've just taken it off.
Gone.
Right.
So
Cool.
we've been a bit ruthless there. We only left in the items that related through to the customer engagement there.
So what we've managed to do by going back and prioritising that business goal is we've cut our backlog, which was about 10 or 11 items, down to 4.
So in reality, you're just rearranging the backlog, right, to promote those items to the
Yeah,
top.
yeah, exactly. You're not actually throwing them out or anything.
You're
You're
just
just
deleting them.
reprioritizing.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
And another way you can do this, if you just have the upper management, because you should have very senior people there. That's one thing that was discussed. You should have really senior people, and it's great to have the team there as well.
Talking about business goals, because that's what they bring to the project.
Yes, but you don't need to go all the way through to deliverables if you've got the full management team there. You might just go to the impacts that they want people to actually change, and then the deliverables would be sort of something that the product owner or the team would actually flesh out a little bit from the impacts.
And that's where story mapping could be really useful, is used in LinkedIn with your impact mapping. Because once you get to your impact, then you could do a story map to find out what those deliverables could be.
I mean, this is a really fast way of prioritising as well, because we've done that in 20 minutes, right? And that, some of this could be a first sprint if those were epics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we're, ready to write stories for these and get going, right?
Yeah. The other thing to sort of emphasise is trying to get that measurement all the way through. So making sure that, buying more tickets, what does that actually mean? Is that, we need to see people, they need to buy 20% more tickets, or we need to sell more tickets to a specific session. Having those measurements in place so that you actually have a clear idea of what you're trying to change is really important.
You can actually experiment it with the solution as well. So say one sprint you do something, and then the next sprint you try something else to see if you can bring that up to the measurement that you've set.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of crossover here with Lean as well, and trying to do small experiments. We talked a lot on the course about setting up small experiments, so breaking this down even further. So maybe you'd make a website specifically for a single location or your most important cinema, and just trial it with those customers first to see if you could make a change. So again, talking about something that's completely handmade and manual rather than automating anything to start with.
And there's statistics out there that say that people only use 20% of the features of a bit of software. So this really helps you to make sure that you're building that 20% rather than just trying to get everything done in one fell swoop. And one thing I really liked about this is that people often talk about the deliverables and they talk about the goals, but this middle conversation is missed out quite a lot, and that's the point of this whole thing. It is that conversation that actually promotes. It's not so much a lot of the stuff you can throw away the information here. It's the conversation, the results that you really want to focus on.
Focus people, and also to confirm that what you're building is of value.
Yes, and is it going to change a behaviour? If it's not changing behaviour, why are you doing it? And one interesting thing that we came up with was a lot of the solutions, the deliverables that we came up with to reach a lot of these goals weren't actually software based.
So, for an example, they were content.
Or even just sort of marketing, or
right.
Just for example, somebody was saying they got an email through from I can't remember what bit of software. It might have been Spotify or somebody saying thank you for being our customer. It's just an email, and that basically it helped increase our customer loyalty.
Engagement, yeah.
And I know iTunes just gave away a free U2 album yesterday, which might help increase customer loyalty for iTunes users, iTunes users, or else might drive them away.
It could. I heard it wasn't that great.
That's exactly what you'd expect a U2 album to sound like these days. But
nothing new.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's a very quick description of impact mapping.
Which is good, because I think actually that's all we've got for today.
Yes.
But thanks, guys. I'm glad you got some value out of that course and we're able to share it with
you. Yeah, we're going to be using it in the real world pretty soon.
The real world.
And we can talk about that at some later stage briefly. Just talk about how that actually went, because we're going to help refine, because we're new to this ourselves, so we're going to refine that for our own process here.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay. See ya.